We are here. It is that time of the week and the day with Dr. Sandhu from All Creatures Veterinary Clinic. Good morning, doctor.
Good morning.
It is good to see you as always. And the good thing is we have some great questions from some people this week. And now I gotta get there again. I don't know what happened, but one of them actually is from someone named Ari. And we're asking questions on our Facebook page. Mm-hmm. And one of them is, and I don't know if this is an easy one to answer, because things like arthritis where there is inflammation, especially when it begins to be more debilitating, but I asked this anyway because they wanted to know.
Sure.
Is there any either home remedy or something that's less expensive way of treating arthritis as opposed to just doing steroids or whatever it is that you do from a medical treatment?
Yeah, absolutely. People can definitely use glucosamine, and they can buy like over the counter from Costco, Walmart, Rite Aid, Walgreens, and it does work great on pets with arthritic problem. And when there's a painful and there's some pet seems like is suffering from a pain, people can always use some aspirin. Buffered aspirin does work, but don't use any Tylenol, Advil. They are toxic to the animals.
Just straight aspirin, buffered aspirin.
Yes.
Or glucosamine, those types of things. There are some foods that are sometimes, like dog foods, that has some of that is in there. Is it better to just give them the straight
I would give the straight
pills?
pill, because that way you're giving what they need. In food, sometimes it may not be enough quantity in there. And the second thing is, if pet is not eating and eating randomly, then you're not giving the supplement what it needs.
And it's still, though, good to always make sure that is the problem. It's not something else if it is arthritis. And this should be after they've been diagnosed with this.
At least they should know, where. And the second thing is you need to know where the arthritic problem is. If it's a hips, it's a knees, it's elbow, or a spine. So at least have your veterinarian do exam on it and tell you where the problem is, and then you can address that issue in future.
Right, and that's we might have mentioned this before, but what early signs, like trouble signs, might a pet owner might be able to undertake or witness if there is maybe an early stage of arthritis? Because dogs can't tell you, hey, I'm in pain or whatever, right?
Yeah, they have a high pain tolerance, and mostly what you start seeing is if your pet is like a really jumpy, bubbly pet, and then it starts slowing down, or if they are too active during daytime, then in the evening you start feeling them a little bit slow, stiffness in them, and they can show you some soreness in their body too. And a lot of those pets, especially in the morning hours also, they're slow and stiff, and as they start moving out, the body get warm and they start feeling better. Then your pet is getting better. And then again at nighttime, if they're hyperactive, again they're gonna feel that pain.
Right.
And again, if the dog is jumping on the couch and things like that, they won't be doing those things, or they'll be reluctant.
Yeah, and I've noticed that because I've had pets who have done that as well, or else they kind of seem like they lay around a lot with their legs straight out, and they just kind of look. It's not like they're resting; they're just like almost kind of tolerating their
and then they try to make themselves comfortable, and which is not a normal way of laying down or standing or sitting, and that's where you see my dog might have a problem with the left knee or a right knee or a hip, because they're going to try to compensate that.
Seven, back in the studio with Dr. Sandhu from All Creatures Veterinary Center and also the Canyon Country Animal Center, right?
Yeah.
That's a center. Yeah, Canyon Country
Veterinary Center.
There we go. Thank you. And that is right there on Soledad Canyon, just down the street from the radio station here at the Edwards Cinema Shopping
complex.
Center right there.
Yeah.
And also you have your hospital out in the Antelope Valley that takes care of anything that can't be handled here.
Yeah.
And that is terrific. Now, All Creatures is open 24/7, 365 days a year. Dr. Cole had come in last week, and she had actually come off the shift, and so she was still ready to go. But she was answering questions for us last week, and we had just asked Dr. Sandhu questions about natural remedies for arthritis relief for pets. And there's another question here from Emmy. Is it normal for my dog's teats, I think I could say that on AM radio, is it normal for my dog's teats to get fluid in them when she is not pregnant?
Sometime if they are not fixed, when they go through the estrous cycle, it causes mammary glands to get enlarged, and they can have some fluid in there. And the dogs can also have a false pregnancy where they act like they're pregnant, but actually they are not. And they go through the same cycle. They they even act like they're delivering puppies. Sometimes they do the nesting and all that when it comes to the time of the delivery. If you're My suggestion is, if you are not a breeder or if you don't want to breed your pet, it's best to get them fixed.
Well, that's true because they can also. I mean, when I know I've always gotten my pets fixed. I haven't had dogs. I've had cats because that's the thing. The first time the cat goes through that whole
They are
thing,
nonstop.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah.
But also dogs, they act a little bit different. But what happens? It seems like every stray dog in the neighborhood tries to get in.
That's the biggest problem,
you know.
because most of the dogs, when they try to run away from the home, are the one they're in a heat cycle looking for a mate. So that's one issue. Second issue is having infections in the uterus. That's where they act like they're pregnant. So the cervix get open and they get infection, which is called pyometra in dogs. It's a common problem. Third thing is when they keep on going through the heat cycle, they can have a ovarian cyst, ovarian cancer. They can have a endometrial. There's an infection in the uterus and cancer too. And the third thing is memory tumors, which are very common in dogs when they're not fixed. And the reason for that, one of the biggest reasons for them is to going through heat cycles. And that's when the memory gets enlarged and the cells, they change and they multiply, and then you have the problem. And one of them is having a discharge from memory glands.
And so if the dog has not been spayed, right? Yes,
Yeah,
spayed for the
spayed.
female. Then that is something that can happen. What if the dog has been spayed? Is that something that would be a common?
It's
happening?
not as common as if it's fixed, because you rarely would see this problem.
And this is the same thing too with male dogs, unless you're breeding. There are a lot of guys that I know say, "Man, I don't want to do that to my dog." They're kind of putting some sort of empathy onto them that shouldn't be necessary. But male dogs can have prostate problems and all kinds of other things that happen if you don't get them fixed, right?
Yeah, prostate is one of the common issues if they're not fixed. We do see, and thing is, think about this way: you're not taking anything away by fixing a male dog. But you're gonna cause prostate issue, and once that happens, they have difficulty in urination, they have difficulty in defecation. So we don't need to have those things happen. And at the same time, if it's an intact male and he feels like there's a female in a heat or they can smell, those are the dogs. They jump out, they hit by cars, people lose them, things.
And the other thing too is, again, not taking anything away from them. And also, there are certain behavior problems that dogs, aside from running around,
Aggression is one of those, and dominance behavior. And if you have a pack of dogs at home, 2-3 dogs, then if they're not intact, they're always gonna fight for who's gonna be the alpha dog, and that's where you see a lot of dog fights.
Right. And we have another question here too. This is a cat question. Our orange tabby. This comes from Melissa. Our orange tabby. She's 7-month-old, keeps getting eye goop. Eye doesn't seem to be red or infected or anything. She keeps wiping it off with a warm washcloth. Is there any remedy, or is there some reason why? I've noticed that with kittens a lot. It seems to happen, but what is that caused by?
A lot of time they can have an underlying upper respiratory infection which is not full blown, and then you can have a herpes varicose and chlamydia. They can be a little bit dormant in there and flare here and there. You can see a mild signs, but not a full-blown upper respiratory infection. The best thing is, if it doesn't seem like a big problem, just keep on cleaning out. That's what I would do, just with a warm cloth and water. But if it's not going away, I would definitely have a vet look at it and maybe just get some medication for that.
Just if it's something chronic, because
Yeah.
I've seen it happen where it comes.
Yeah,
and
you don't want
goes.
it to turn into chronic issue, then it's very hard to deal with it.
Right. And that's the thing, and especially kittens do, a lot of them seem to come with, they'll have some sort of eye. Is that really a first sign for like some sort of upper respiratory thing?
Yeah,
That's kinda
because
interesting.
at young age they don't have vaccines yet, so they don't have any immunity. The immunity they get in the beginning, that's weaning off, and if you're not vaccinating them, they're gonna have the problem.
That's something to really know, and that's really good to know, because
Yeah.
a lot of times we don't think that. We just think, okay, it's an eye infection, or he or she got into something. But so it's always good to, when it's something that's not clearing up and it's a chronic thing, no matter what it is with your pet, you should always take it in and have it checked.
It's a lot of uncomfortable situation to think about us having every day morning that stuff. How would we feel?
Right.
And with pets, we just feel like, okay, I'm just gonna wipe off their eyes. But if there is something is coming, there is a problem, and that should be addressed.
Right. Dr. Sandhu from All Creatures Veterinary Center, 24/7 operation, emergency center, and veterinary clinic that is open on Lyons Avenue, just west of Main Street in the Victorian Building, and also the Canyon Country Veterinary
Hospital.
Thank you. Is on Soledad Canyon in the Edwards Shopping Center. Thank you so much for coming out. Always a pleasure to have you come out on Wednesdays. And be sure you can ask your questions. You can email them to me, George at hometownstation.com, or post them on our Facebook page, and we will definitely have them answered next Wednesday. Every Wednesday after 8:30 is when we come on. So thank you so much for coming on, Doctor. Really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me here.
You bet.